Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. It is okay to be normal. It is okay to be traditional. It's okay to be religious as long as we have equality. Now, we have issues going on right now, and it's affecting children, and it's affecting family. Believe it or not, family is not a four-letter word. It's not supposed to be. Everything's not supposed to be about the man. Everything's not supposed to be about the woman. It's about these two uniting, like the yin yang. There's a balance. There has to be a balance. There's no way everything can be perfect. There is no way everything can be absolute hell. Eventually, they all come around. Kind of like the dark wolf and the light wolf inside of you that are all fighting for treats. Is that how it goes? The idea of being normal is radical now. And that bothers me because I was radical and I was crazy and I was rowdy before it was cool. Not like he was, though. Rowdy Piper. That guy had so much more talent than Hogan. And like Hogan ends up becoming a wrestling god and Piper not so much. Anyways, we've come from a time much different than ours when the boomers had a strict set of rules, and if you did not abide by them, then bam. 3 generations before that, children were basically being raised as if they were barn animals. They weren't even particularly wanted. Lots of stuff that people don't like to talk about because they'll get upset. Well, screw your being upset. And being up in that, you are facilitating a hell. You don't want to see what's in Schrodinger's box? Sometimes if you don't look in what Schrodinger's box is, you open it up and you find you have like a zombie Armageddon, Cthulhu, Pandora's box. You have now opened the box too. The lid too. I blame this on the Welsh. Now, family and children are almost a four-letter word these days. We like children, but we won't do a whole lot to go out of our way and do anything for them. My village, sorry, still has a park that is closed because a kid got her eye knocked out going down the hill. That in the summer was a beautiful garden. In the winter, it's a very nice hill, and she got her eye poked out because one of the plants, and her mom was pissed off because she got screwed out of a payout for a previous thing. So she nailed the town down. She nailed the town down. And in doing this, it caused the spirit of the town a lot of trauma. Her father was a well-known Christian who were known for forgiving, and she sued the fire department. She sued the gardeners that installed them. She sued the people that hired the gardeners to install them. Just went through everything. And I remember I even gave up my own personal allowance to that girl. That girl's wonderful. She's still with her mother's not with us anymore. That girl that got her eye knocked out is she's wonderful. She's wonderful. She's wonderful. And I will never say a bad thing about her. She tries so hard. Sorry, I want to give her props. Her mom was a piece of junk. Anyways, no, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should say one giant bad idea. I'm not saying she didn't deserve to be paid out. I'm not saying that at all. But in causing and having so many rules, we have gone to basically child abuse now because we're not letting the kids go out and play. Which was it? Was it Cinderella? There was a baby born, and they invited all the fairies, they invited everyone, but they didn't invite the dark queen. Was that Maleficent? You have to invite the dark queen, or the dark queen will find her way in. This happens. It happens in organizations, like the organizations that you would think are the best of the best of the best, that wouldn't cater that just would want what's best for everyone. And then all of a sudden you find out when the lights go on that there's skeletons in the closet. Now, I'm not trying to single anyone out, but to show you this exists. The clergy, the Catholic clergy. And there was a time when, you know what, I don't even, if you don't want to admit, then swipe left, whatevs. But we're also finding government, the Epstein list, and Epstein and Weinstein are people with great power that did not use it very responsibly. But everyone was like, hey, it's Hollywood. Hey, it's Christianity, and thy work will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So God wouldn't let this group be taken over. Like, this is Hollywood, you know? The government wouldn't let this place be taken over by child abusers, right? Hey, this is government. There's no child abusers here, right? No, no, you have to accept that there's going to be evil in these places. But, anyways, I need to get back to the need to be normal. We need to go back to normal. What we have now isn't normal for people. It's not normal. It's not normal at all. Mums are no longer at home, and if they are, they get easily addicted to drugs that we have laying around. Back in the day, there was a song about it, and she runs through the shelter of mother's little helper. Women have had opiates in the house for a long time because being a woman, wow, it's an interesting experience. And the more progressive women that I fall in love with, feminists, the more hells they don't mind talking to me about. Like guys, we don't like talking with women about menstrual issues, right? But these are real issues. We need to talk about some of these things sometimes. Yes, it's disgusting. Yes, it's real, but I feel like since we're not looking at what reality is and we're just putting a veil over everything, we are inherently creating hells for kids. This hell in the past has been facilitated in situations where, in situations like this, because nobody wants to talk about it, there are outright positions where men are left with little girls who have their time, and everyone is confused, and the little girl feels like a monster. As a father, if I ever make my daughter feel like a monster, I am a monster. Then that monster has come from me to her, and it was my responsibility to keep it from her. So, yeah, I want to know. I don't want to know details, but like I want to be able to know, like, if it happens, then I'll be able to be like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna get your mom on the phone. We'll get you these things, and we'll get through this, okay? All right? Not the dark side. I'm not showing you the dark side of what that is because I've seen it in other parents. Some people aren't prepared for it, and we need to be prepared for a lot of these things because we love people. Now, within these opiates for women in the house is social media. And as someone who's addicted to the internet, and as someone who has fought against cults, as someone who was immersed into at least one, okay, you couldn't call it a cult, but I was in one church that really tried to grind your idea of reality. Now, to me, a cult is a place that you can't leave, or else you'll never be able to come back. And they make it really difficult for you to leave, and you can't contact people on the outside. Like hardcore cannot communicate. I'm like, don't be pulling. Don't be like, oh, they don't want you to, or they're asking you not to. I'm saying like you can't, or you will leave, or you will be locked in a room. Now, we got too many people on social media that are pulling that this means that and that means that. And it literally got so bad that my ex wife said that when she woke up, if I kept the bedroom door closed in the morning, if I closed it, I was taking away her autonomy because she wanted to hear what was going on outside, basically. Like, geez, she pulls. She just pulled like it was mad. So yeah, so I'm diagnosed as being narcissistically abused by a clinical psychologist. Now everyone knows what narcissism is. Nobody knows what happens when people are narcissistically abused by women, for example. Like, it absolutely does happen. But these women who are locked inside all day, who don't have the ability to. Some people get addicted to social media. Let's say like 5% of women that are stay at home. It's much higher than that. But 5% of women are stay at home get addicted to social media to the point where they would neglect their family. This happened. My ex neglected the family. And social media gave her all these excuses that it was okay. And not only that, social media told her that not only was it okay that she did nothing all day, but that by me cleaning, I was being abusive to her. Yeah, I was being abusive if I did clean, and it wasn't her responsibility to feed the children. It also, she didn't want to do the work. She was offended if I did it. She literally went on Reddit. Now, this is a problem with the whole community. She literally went on Reddit and said, am I the asshole for being upset with my husband not doing the dishes the way I want to? Guys, they tore me apart. They told her to leave me because of dishes. Because of dishes. I'm not pulling, guys. I am haunted by that Reddit thread. I read it over and over. I did read it over and over again. And just to see the cosmic leaps that people made because of the dishes. Her position was ultimately, I want him to do them my way. I want him to put things in the way that I want them to be put in. And then he has to do all of the dishes. If it's just one load, he's not done. He has to do all of the dishes. Can't be any left over. Sinks have to be cleaned. Counters have to be cleaned. Everything's off the stove. The stove has to be cleaned. I couldn't do that work unless I did all of it. But sometimes I just needed a plate, and I couldn't put the plate in the sink. But I'm telling you, everyone, everywhere, was taking her side. And now with this new world, with this post-Me Too movement, we are legitimately hurting our children. And here's how my society hurt my children. She was not doing the dishes. 3-day-old food was being left out. And 3-day-old food was being left out, and my children were eating 3-day-old food. Now, here's the part that infuriates me, and I will never forgive society for this, because they still can't answer me this question. And it proves that nobody cares about the children. There was a gentleman that died from eating Kraft Dinner that was in the fridge for 7 days. He fucking died, okay? My kid eats 3-day-old Kraft Dinner that's left on the counter. And this isn't an issue. Everybody makes jokes about it. Everyone I talk to or her family makes jokes about it. Child Protective Services gets called in. They don't care about it. They don't care. She had 6 hours a day on TikTok. Okay, I'm pulling a little bit. 5 to 5 hours. 5 hours to 5.45. So I'm rounding up there, right? But I'm being honest. But then checking that phone meant that I was being narcissistically abusive. The internet gave her everything except ways to deal with my children. Now here's how the internet's really hurting children. It's giving her ideas like all children's emotions are beautiful and wonderful. Okay, all right. So my little boy was being upset over the dumbest little thing. Narcissistic things. Once again, I don't like to use that word very often, but I'm trying to think of an example of a time when it was clear that he wasn't sharing, he wasn't getting along, he wasn't good. And I was like, oh, I was kind of like that when I was young. I want to correct this behavior. So I try to correct the behavior, and all of a sudden, I'm an abusive. Yeah, I'm abusive because I'm controlling. And I'm narcissistic because it's about me. No, I know he's my child. I know my behavior, and I want to get ahead of it and correct it because it wasn't corrected in me ever. Ever. So now my kid's got emotional problems, emotional regulation problems, thanks to the internet that gave her these wonderful ideas that women are always right, And children are always and children never lie, basically. I'm sorry, I just figured it out. I just figured it out. We screwed up when my daughter was born. She had an issue up here. If I didn't torment her to get to the hospital, my wife, my daughter would be dead. So I have to be very objective here. And you need to listen, because this is what's up. My wife wasn't giving breast milk. My newborn baby wasn't getting breast milk. She was dying slowly. My ex didn't want to go back to the hospital because she believed she was a good mom. And that meant that she had to be giving breast milk. And she really didn't want to go back to the hospital. I think this is the first time I've been able to say this without breaking into tears. Let's see how far I can get. She almost died in my arms, in my hands. I had to torment my ex. I had to be a horrible man. I had to be an abusive man in order to get my ex to go back to the hospital. Or my child, my firstborn child, would be dead. Blood sugar, 0. It could not be red. So I literally think that my ex has a mental problem here, because the way her thinking was I am a good mom, so I am giving breast milk. But the next thing that happened is she blamed me. She said no one was there for me. I don't know anything about this. I told her, you need anything. She won't ask for help, and her family was, so she gets to be a victim. Blam. Gets to pull the victim card. Yeah, well, my daughter has permanent brain damage now, and you get a victim card. Now, here's what really pisses me off. Afterwards, in order to do our mental health, the next doctor comes along and makes a story up for her and says, oh, it happened. Ah. And then once again, the shroud is dropped. Sorry, I wish I had a shroud. I gotta buy a shroud. But the shroud, this mask is dropped, of reframing. And this is something I definitely noticed within therapists, social workers. Reframing is ways that we reframe horrible situations to get us to continue with things. Now, what I really want to see in these situations are people taking responsibility for the shit they do. Now, therapists generally aren't there to challenge you. They're there to they're there to support you and your side. But I feel like I'm the only person challenging these new ideas. I'm going out and dating. Women are giving me these horrible ideas that hurt children, like the idea that gender is a construct. Guys, okay, gender is a construct, kills kids. So we need to have this conversation. If we're on a date and you say gender is a construct, I have to talk about John Money, because I feel like if I don't, I'm letting your bad ideas go. But here's the thing about John Money. Y'all want to go with your hearts, and whatever your heart says. Your heart can be so easily manipulated. Your heart can be so easily manipulated. You gotta follow your head. Now, if you follow your head and you'll look into John Money, you'll find out why gender is not a construct. People like me exist. Like, do I look normal to you? So maybe you can listen to me when I tell you. I was raised with the option to have all the things, and I preferred the men things. My children were raised to be the way that they are, the way they want to be. They have access to both things and they prefer their own things. Now, the SJWs will say that gender is a construct and we made toys for boys because that's the way we wanted them to be. No, no. We'll sell kids whatever they'll buy right now. And kids are going to particular things. So, legitimately, we have women who are new, who have new ideas, as new as the idea of me being able to have a background like this and be professional, legitimately. The DEI, we have to accept everyone as is. Everyone's fine. Nobody needs to change. Like, let's face it, guys, if I was going to have a business dinner, I wouldn't be having it here. You know what I mean? We all need to meet in the middle. We all need to meet in the middle. It's okay to be normal. It's okay to be traditional. There is hell in every shit pile. You will not just automatically move to another place and your things will be excellent. Everybody has this idea that dramatic escape will automatically lead to a better thing, and not just little bits of change daily. Because of this, we have a hell, and it's radical. But we need the ability to be normal. That's all I got for you guys. Have a good one. Take care of each other, will you?